Welcome to the PrepZone Show, presented by Bevill State. I'm your host, Johnathan Bentley, joined as always by my co-host, Zak McCullough. Couldn't do this by myself.
Well, it's hard.
You've done it.
I tried.
I've never done that before.
It was not fun. It's just boring. But I think you could handle it by yourself.
I don't know. Hopefully that never happens.
Let's hope not.
So we're back after a different episode last week. We breezed right through it. So we're going to take the time and just let it happen this week.
Maybe an hour or two.
At least 1 hour. All right, so we'll jump right in, as we usually do. I want to thank Bevill State again, by the way.
Yes.
They're playing softball right now.
Yeah, they have their fall schedule doing well.
Yeah, he said it's going to be their best team ever. They have a good coach over there. All right, so back to high school football. We had a pretty full slate last week. 2 teams were off. But we'll start with Jasper, maybe the biggest game of the week. Maybe not, but one of the biggest games of the week. One of them, yeah. It was a key game of the week. Jasper 30, Athens 13.
Avenging last season's loss. Athens won by 30 points last year.
50 to 20 last year.
Yeah, and Jasper comes back very dominant. It was a very good Jasper team last year, and this team is even better here in 2025. So a big win for the Vikings, and they've got 2 weeks until it really gets started, with the meat of the schedule. So we'll see how it goes. Yeah,
good start, though. Whenever you're undefeated this late in the year, that's very good. Another undefeated team in the area, the only other one, Addison 46, Hackleburg 16.
And Hackleburg was the number 5 team in Class 1A. At Hackleburg, and Addison just beat the tar out of them. A big win for Addison. And now, you don't want to overreact and you don't want to put a bunch of rat poison out there, but is Addison a legitimate threat to win Class 1A this year?
Well, when you get down to the south, those teams are
That's
really
true.
Well, but if they could get to the north, to get that first.
Well, the north is pretty
North went
stacked.
through Hackleburg won it last year.
Wadley, which is
Wadley
pretty tough.
That's next level, yeah.
And then Maplesville's really good this year, but we'll see how 1A shakes out. It ought to be interesting.
Yeah, good start by Addison. This is what happens when you put Hastings at a team. It's never happened before, a team that was already pretty good.
Yes.
All right, so Oakman finally gets back on track. 62, they had all those one possession losses. 62, Hanceville 13.
Yeah, Oakman just dominated a Hanceville team
that was bad.
That has not won a game. Looking at their schedule, probably will not. So big win for Oakman. They're getting back on track, and they're 2-3 now. And you mentioned all the one possession losses.
All of them.
They could be 5-0 right now.
Yeah, 3 one possession losses. Crazy. All right, so Fultondale in a very disappointing game. Fultondale 29, Dora 14. Dora stays winless on the year.
Yeah, and Fultondale gets their first win. The Dora offense just didn't really show up, struggled mightily, and they remain 0-5 now. I believe that makes them. So hopefully they'll get another win on the schedule. They still got a couple of winnable games left, so we'll see what happens with them.
Still got Haleyville out there. All right, Good Hope, ranked Good Hope team 34, Cordova 6. The gauntlet continued for Cordova.
Yeah, Cordova, they have a tough schedule, but they played close. It's not that bad. 4 touchdowns to a really good Good Hope team. So Cordova, the defense is pretty good this year, as it was last year. There are times this year that the offense has stepped up, and if the offense can step up in future games, Cordova will be just fine.
Yeah, their schedule is very front-loaded, so it's about to get a little bit different second half. Even though Fayett's still out there. All right, another team in that region that's also very good, Hamilton 48, Curry 21.
Yeah, this is the game that I was at. Hamilton is a loaded football team that could legitimately win that Class 4A Region 5. Mason Holloway at quarterback, 6 total touchdowns, 400 yards of offense. Curry didn't stand a chance against him. He was the fastest player on the field at all times, and that's the quarterback. So just a dominant win for Hamilton. Although I will say Curry, they never gave up. They fought hard, and they were able to put a couple of touchdowns on at the end. So it's not all bad for the Yellow Jackets, and now they have a few more winnable games left on the schedule as well as they try to get into the playoff race. So if you're a Curry fan, don't have your head down. Your team played fairly well considering it was up against the Hamilton Aggies, and there's still a lot to look forward to for this season.
It's hard to believe that Hamilton, I think 2 years ago, they had back-to-back one-win seasons. They knew this was coming with that quarterback.
That's right.
And now they're finally reaching that potential. All right, Vinemont 38, Carbon Hill 6.
The Carbon Hill defense had really their best performance of the season, but Vinemont did a good job stuffing the Carbon Hill running game, and the Eagles were able to pull out an impressive win.
Yeah, I think Carbon Hill gets their quarterback back this week, hopefully. All right, for the second straight week, Meek scores 60, 64 to Waterloo 6.
Big win for Meek as they continue this mid-season tear. Last year with the same schedule, they were able to go on a run make the playoffs, and looks like they're trying to do the same thing here, improving to 3-2 on the year. So pretty good for Meek.
Yeah, kind of an expected win. This one was kind of unexpected. Cold Springs 44, Winston County 18.
Unfortunate loss for Winston County, and now we have to face the realization that, man, Cold Springs could be really good this year.
They are actually good.
And they usually are not.
I don't give them credit ever,
but
so I have to now.
Actually good this year, giving Winston County its third loss of the season after going undefeated in the regular season last year. But now Winston County, they have a chance to turn it around. You're looking at this region that Winston County's in, there are only 6 teams, and you really only need to win 2 region games to make the playoffs. And Winston County, they've already beat Tanner in that region. They have Tharptown coming up, which should be easy. So if you're a Winston County fan, the playoffs are still very easily in reach. In fact, hosting a playoff game is still a possibility if Winston County can get this turned around.
Yeah, the good thing about that game is it wasn't a region. Even though it was a 2A team, that was not a region game, which is strange. But that, like you said, that region doesn't have a whole lot of teams in it. So
yeah, you're only playing 5 region games, so you're left looking for 5 non-region games.
Yeah, Cold Springs is really good this year. So, we lose enough games to good hope.
Right.
And now we got Cold Springs beating our local teams.
Yeah, Coleman County's pretty tough up there.
Usually it's a basketball county, but they got some good football too. Jasper did beat Coleman.
That's true.
That was maybe the biggest one of the year. All right, so we go to the player of the weeks. Let's mention Tyler Thomas first. I was at that game, and he could have just ran. I mean, he had 289 yards.
He's playing against Hansville.
I know.
So how long did he stay in, though?
He had 13 runs, 5 in the second quarter. So he had 8 in the first. He had 180 yards after the first quarter.
It was a name your stat day for Tyler Thomas.
13 4 rushes, touchdowns.
4 touchdowns is impressive. And his season stats at this point, 892 rushing yards and 16 touchdowns in 5 games.
Outrageous.
It's what we've come to expect from Tyler Thomas. He has been great the last few years, and he's great again this year.
Yep, great senior season. They had no chance. He got the ball, he was basically gone. All right, and you want to mention the other one?
I will. Elijah Roberts for Addison. In such a big win against Tackleburg, they're going to have somebody put up big numbers, and it was Roberts. 205 total yards and 3 touchdowns, handing Hackleburg their worst home loss since 2018.
Yeah. You just don't beat, especially this version of Hackleburg. I understand in 2018 they probably weren't that great because they're up and down, but to have a team that did they make the championship game last year?
No, Wadley made it.
That's right, of course. But yeah, a deep playoff team, and to beat them 30 at their place. Addison's just on a roll this year. Okay, so that will get us to our games this week, a very, very light schedule.
Yeah, very light. Only 5 games because there are a bunch of teams on bye weeks and a couple playing each other. So it should be very brief going over these.
Yes, and some of these I don't think will be very close. The first one, Dora, big rivalry game, right? Dora at Jasper.
Yeah, Dora, they haven't won a game in 4A. Jasper hasn't lost a game in 6A. It's at Jasper with Cairo Gamble Field. Yeah. So this one might get ugly. Vikings ought to win very big.
It's not a good matchup for Dora. Dora's schedule is just brutal. All right, yeah, I'm going Jasper big in that one as well. I'll be surprised if it didn't. That'd be nice if it didn't. If Dora could put some points on the board.
Yeah, make it more interesting.
Yeah. All right, so another one with 2 local teams. Curry at Winston County, both 2-3.
They're both 2-3. For Winston County, that's a surprise on the down end. You would think that their record would be better. For Curry, it's a surprise on the better end. Curry's not usually 2-3 5 games into the season. Both teams riding 2-game losing streaks. Battle of the Yellow Jackets. I think that the winner of this will be the Yellow Jackets wearing purple and gold up in Winston County.
Oh, wow.
So I think that the Yellow Jackets of Winston County will win pretty big, actually. I think it's a get-right game for the purple and gold.
Yeah, I do too. Now, they've had some linemen banged up, and in 2A ball, you lose a couple
when you lose
players.
Linemen,
that's bad. Yeah. But hopefully they're back. And Curry, Winston County has some weapons too. So I'm also picking Winston County in that game. Yeah, 2-game losing streak. They're not used to that. With the 2A coach of the year from last year, Caleb Simmons over there. All right, so we'll jump to a very interesting game here. Jacksonville at Corner. And if you remember last year, Jacksonville's 3-2, Corner 3-1. Corner lost to Leeds a week after Briarwood was winless. They beat Leeds and they beat Corner. Last week, Jacksonville thumped Leeds. So, yeah, a ranked Leeds team, and now they come to Corner.
Yeah, Jacksonville, they're riding very good momentum. Corner, they had the surprising loss to Ramsey and then a bye week. 2 teams, it seems like, trending in opposite directions. I went back and forth on this one because I don't like picking against Corner because they usually prove us wrong. and corners at home. But I had to go with Jacksonville.
Wow.
I think it'll be close. And I wouldn't be surprised if Spencer Unruh were to have a big game and the corner Yellow Jackets were to win. But I'm going with Jacksonville. I thought that this was a poor matchup for corner, and I think they'll struggle. So I'm going with Jacksonville.
Yeah, Jacksonville right on the verge of the rankings with 2 losses, too. I mean, you just beat Leeds like that. I think it was 30-7. I mean, that's...
It was dominant.
That's very surprising. I'm taking corner, but boy, this is going to be tough. They're going to have to play a lot. They had a lot of mistakes against Ramsey. I mean, 100-yard pick return,
right,
and just fumbles, and it was a mess.
They had the bye week, so that's time to work on those mistakes. And maybe Jacksonville, maybe they're exhausted. They're a little overhyped from how they beat Leeds. So we don't know, and we'll see how it shakes out.
Yeah, and this again is a non-region game, so.
Yeah, most of our teams are playing a non-region because, the middle of the season, everybody likes to take that break from region play. A lot of teams have bye weeks this time of year. That's why it's such an abbreviated schedule.
Yeah, you like that bye week in the middle. All right, so, they're actually all non-region here. Cold Springs has another chance to beat our local team. Cold Springs 4-1, Lynn 3-2. Cold Springs already beat Curry and Winston County.
And I think they'll make Lynn the third victim from the wall win. Cold Springs is just too good this year. Which we mentioned it, we're not used to that from Cold Springs. Usually they're 2-8 every year, but Cold Springs, this is their season in Class 2A. When the way they beat Curry, we kind of had a feeling, this Cold Spring teams could be something special, and they are. So unfortunate for the Lynn Bears, tough schedule for Lynn in Steve Cagle's first season, and I think it's even tougher Friday night.
Yeah, they got a big win their last game against Pickens, but this is they added Cold Springs probably thinking it was a win.
Right, and then that's 1A football.
Yeah, that's
what
2A
happens. Football for Cold Springs.
It's at Lynn, but I also took Cold Springs. Hopefully I'm wrong on that one. All right, so that wraps up our very abbreviated schedule.
Well, you got Good Hope and Addison you left off.
Oh, one of the biggest
games.
The
big game, come on.
I was just skipping right over it.
You were.
Addison, obviously. No, actually, Good Hope, which is ranked. They're both
Class
ranked.
4A, yes.
Yeah, they're both ranked, but, a 4A against a 1A, it's very, very, very difficult. So Good Hope 4-0, Addison 5-0. Are you going Good Hope?
I am. Well? I have to go with the Red Raiders. Nothing against Addison. Addison's one of the best teams in Class 1A, but they're going up against a team 4 classifications ahead of them and one of the best teams in 4A. So, if you're an Addison fan and this game goes the way I think, which should be Good Hope winning, don't hang your head because I expect Addison to fight hard. I expect them to keep it close for a while. But superior depth from Good Hope. Yeah. Obviously, they have a lot more players. Their team will be bigger, so Red Raiders will win this one, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's a tough schedule. To add a team like that in the middle of your schedule for a 1A is brutal. Yeah, I'm going Good Hope as well, just for the reasons you stated, and Good Hope is really good. Like, Addison is having probably one of its best seasons in years. But
this is a good test for Addison because,
they're
going to – when they get to the playoffs, and they're facing teams like Wadley and Maplesville, it'll be like going up against a 4A school. So it's good that Addison is scheduling tough games like this in the middle of the season to get prepared for a possible playoff run.
There was a couple of years ago, they've always played Good Hope in the middle where they beat them, but this Good Hope team is –
Those were, very down Good Hope teams.
This is up Good Hope. All right, so that wraps up our schedule.
Yes.
Okay, nobody else? All right. So this will get to our top 5 teams, and it was kind of tough for me this week.
It was too. There's a lot of, there's a clear top, and then everybody's kind of intermingled under that.
Yes.
So it's hard to pick out, who's in the top 5, who's not.
So who is your number 5 team?
I've got Winston County at number 5. Even though they have a losing record, they're 2-3. I still think that they are the best of the teams we have, 2-3. So Winston County, because they still have a lot of talent, even though they've lost 2 in a row. They've got the best coach in Class 2A from last year in Caleb Simmons. So I think Winston County will turn this season around. It's just a matter of time.
Okay, I had Lynn at 5th.
Ooh.
3-2, coming off that forfeit win over Summit Christian, by the way. So that made them 3-2.
Right.
So they've had their moments. They've struggled also, but that win against Pickens County really helped me think maybe this team is going to do something in that region. All right, what about number 4?
Number 4, I've got Corner.
It's low.
Well, they are.
Well, they did struggle last game.
They did struggle their last game. Of course, they were off last week. I think it might be a rough couple of weeks as the schedule gets tough for Corner. But, they're still going to be fine. You've got Spencer Unruh leading a very talented team. Your head coach, Trent Campbell, does a great job. So, Corner is 4th, but they'll be doing fine by the end of the season, I would suppose.
Okay, I had Meek at 4th. which is we think they're on that run again.
Yes.
Now they do have Addison.
That's going to be tough.
Yeah. Now the rest of these are probably going to be heavy favorites, and the rest of these games, the Addison game would be huge. But as of right now, I mean, back-to-back 60-point games, so Meek's doing what they're supposed to be doing. All right, what about number 3?
Meek. So
Okay.
for everything that you've just stated,
Right.
Hunter Wyatt still at running back, Evan McKay still at quarterback, Daniel Evans still the head coach. So they weathered those first 3 games, and now we've mentioned it. They're on that home stretch. Addison is going to be a very tough matchup, but other than that, they should win every game on their schedule. So that's why Meek is so high on the list.
Yeah. I think worst case scenario 7-3.
Yes.
All right, so I have corner at 3. So you already mentioned them.
Yes.
So that's about where they're supposed to be.
So we have the same.
I
top
will
10.
say this about the corner loss: that Ramsey team had a bunch of starters missing. They all came back. This was a Ramsey team that started the year ranked. Was 0-3, but had played the number 1 and number 2 teams in 5A.
That's 2 losses
That's
that
just
you're pretty
incredible.
much going to have.
Maybe it was 6A. It was Parker and Clay Chaltville, and then they lost to Briarwood by a point. So, I think Ramsey could be like Meek, turning
Ramsey,
the corner and just running down the stretch.
We'll see what the Rams do. Obviously, it'll be fun to see how that region that all shakes out.
So I think we have the same number 2.
Yeah, number 2 is Jasper.
That is correct.
That is Jasper. The Vikings have had just a spectacular season. They've got a Dora game that should be easy this week. Looking at it on paper, in rivalries, you never know what's going to happen. Then it's a bye week. Then at Muscle
Gauntlet,
Shoals.
right.
Then it's Hartselle at home. Then you've got Columbia to end it out, and
Lawrence County.
Lawrence County, to finish it off, which was a playoff team from 5A last year, Lawrence County. So there are going to be 2 games on the schedule that are really tough for the Vikings. But, worst case scenario, probably 8-2 for Jasper. That's pretty good.
Yeah. These teams that they're playing don't upset anyone. That's the thing. Columbia hasn't won in years.
They haven't had a 1-possession game since November of 2018, Columbia. It's not even been close.
And poor Sammy Coates, the former Auburn receiver, is the head coach this year. Hopefully they give him some time to turn this thing around.
He was a senior in college the last time Columbia won a game.
They used to be a semi-decent team. They made the playoffs before. And just
once or twice.
The bottom fell out.
Yeah, unfortunate. And it's a big school with not a very big football program, so it's been in 5A for a long time. And then they moved up in 2016 to 6A, and they have not won since.
Yeah, that's really tough. All right, so number 1 will obviously be Addison.
They have the best resume, dominant win over a ranked Hackleburg team. Of course, this week's the real test. How do they fare against a ranked 4A team? But from what we've seen so far, Addison, they're undefeated, really untouched. Nobody's been able to get close to them. So Addison, the clear number 1 here. Man, what a year for the Bulldogs it's been so far.
I thought they'd be good, but not this good. But the offense is just next level this season.
And the defense is really good too.
Yeah.
And they've got both the offense and defense going.
They're at the top of the list in both of those. So, really good season for Addison. Getting Hastings was just a bonus.
Absolutely, because you mentioned at the beginning of the show, he'd never really taken over a program that was good.
No,
he took
always
over
rebuilding.
Holy Spirit, who did not have a program before he was there. He was their first coach. Then he's at Oakman, rebuilds that program, turns him into a perennial playoff team. Spent 1 year at Hale County, only 1 year, and then he came back to Lynn. While at Hale County, though, he went 1-9. That one win was against Carbon Hill, who went to the playoffs that year, actually.
Wow. That's nuts.
Interesting, yeah.
All right, so that finishes up our high school talk here. So we'll get into college and jump right over that and go to Zach's picks. And I'm just kidding.
You've got something.
Yeah, we'll talk about Auburn. Boy, Auburn's had a bad week. So they lost a game. Then Bruce Pearl retires. And then one of their former running backs passes away.
Yeah, Rudy Johnson.
Rudy Johnson was
age
a great
45,
player. Yeah, so it's been not a great week. But, so I put the losses keep coming. And that was before I even found out about Rudy Johnson. But were you surprised when Bruce Pearl stepped down this late?
I was extremely surprised. I honestly thought that he'd be there for years more to come. But resigned all of a sudden, going into retirement. And I felt the first thing I thought when I saw that was poor Johnathan.
Yeah,
You take so much pride in the basketball team, and now your Hall of Fame potentially head coach has retired. I know what it's like to have a really good coach retire on your favorite sports team. So you can always lean on me for support in these tough times.
Right. Yeah, Mark Godfrey. What are you talking about?
Maybe Nick Saban. That's what I'm talking. But honestly, not good for Auburn basketball because before he showed up, they were bad, really bad. And he's
it was bad.
The only good only good coach they've had in basketball in a long time.
Cliff Ellis was okay. Then we had a lot of down decades, not years, decades. This thing was a joke. I remember me and my buddy would go to games, and at first it was easy to get into because they were terrible.
Right.
And now the last 2 years we had to go to away games. So I've been to Mississippi State and Vanderbilt. I lost both those games.
Vanderbilt was on a buzzer beater at that time.
Yeah, that was a great game a couple years ago. The Mississippi State had their number last year. But, yeah, I mean, it's really – I hate that. This late in the season's about to start.
It is. It's less than 2 months away. Of course, maybe that's a blessing in disguise because players really aren't going to transfer now this close to the season. Of course, there's only one holdover from last year, Todd Pettiford for Auburn.
Yeah, everybody's gone.
Yeah,
it's a whole new team.
And now they're losing their head coach. But they do have a replacement right in the family with Stephen Pearl, who got a 5-year contract within hours.
Putting a lot of trust in him.
That is a lot of trust in somebody who's never been a head coach in college basketball to go 5 years.
And I will say that they owe Pearl that because their program was so bad.
Yes.
I mean, it was bad. I think people don't realize. You need to go back and look at the numbers. It was bad. I mean, last place team just garbage. The NIT was way out of reach.
And, I mean, obviously because Auburn's beating Alabama most of the time in basketball. Obviously, Alabama. Yeah. Last time they played, Alabama did win on a buzzer beater. But
great game.
So there was always that rivalry with Bruce Pearl. But, I mean, I really liked the guy. And I wish him the best in his retirement. And I'm glad he's not going to be beating Alabama anytime soon.
Yeah, that's not good. I really don't like that. I was surprised.
I was extremely surprised too.
Yeah, so good luck to Pearl and whatever he does next. Probably, it'd be perfect for TV.
Oh, absolutely. I would love to watch a game with him as the color commentator, broadcasting basketball.
That's right. Like, as good as Saban has been.
Right.
Maybe Pearl could do that.
Yeah, because Pearl is naturally an entertaining human being.
All right, so, yeah, good luck to Stephen Pearl along the way. All right, so as for Auburn's football team, that was we cheated in a loss to Oklahoma, just blatant cheating.
The referees.
And that's all
were
you
not
can
good.
say. Auburn actually had a lot of chances to make up for that terrible call.
There were actually 3 bad calls.
There were bad calls. They gave them a touchdown they shouldn't have had.
Right. Then there was the touchdown that Auburn scored on the fumble recovery. That it was very clear that was a fumble and a touchdown return, but it was overturned on replay. When they instituted instant replay, I thought it was supposed to take away that kind of thing.
And the thing is, Auburn goes home, they'll never get these calls.
No.
They will never get these calls like this. Only happens against them. Of course, this is,
And then the third call
very
was
recent,
the pass interference on the trick play.
Interference.
That should have been pass interference. Would have put Auburn in field goal range. So Oklahoma got a touchdown they shouldn't have. Auburn had a touchdown taken away. So that's 14 points right there.
And they lost by a touchdown.
And 2 of those were on a safety just because it was a desperation moment. So it should have been a 5-point loss.
Even with all those sacks, they still had their chances.
Yes,
they actually
sacks.
took the lead late and then gave up a late touchdown. But
it was
they played well, but
just
lost.
A frustrating game if you're an Auburn fan because you're losing. Obviously, Auburn made a lot of mistakes. There were a lot of penalties. 13 penalties, 10 sacks.
Had open guys.
That were missed.
Yeah.
But the referees costing you a game, that blatantly, it is frustrating. It's one of the most frustrating things. So I can only imagine how frustrating it is for you because this is an Auburn team with a schedule that you have to get games like this if you're going to make the playoffs or have a really good bowl game.
They haven't won a game like this in years. I cannot remember the last time. They just lose like this, period. They'll win at home in crazy ways, but on the road, this is how they lose. And now they got to go to Texas A&M this week.
Oh.
And that's going to be, and I hate to see Oklahoma jumps 4 spots.
Oklahoma's the number 7 team in the United States.
They are not, anyway. So Auburn's out of the rankings. Hopefully, at some point, they get back in this year. But I don't know.
It because they're going to have chances with Georgia coming to Auburn, with Alabama going to Auburn. Those are a couple of big signature wins that they have a chance. Because whenever Auburn's at home, at least when they're good and at home, they're almost unbeatable.
Yeah, that's the thing. Is this team good? I don't know.
We will find out.
Pretty good. They're a lot better.
We'll find out. They should have beaten a top 10 team on the road. So that's pretty good.
Yeah,
that's pretty good.
They could have never been this close last year.
No, it would have been very ugly.
So Alabama's at Georgia. So we'll get to that.
We will talk about that. Yes. Alabama, of course, had a bye week last week. Now they've got some players finally healthy. So we'll see what Alabama does going to Athens.
Big games this week, really, in college. So we can go to Zach's picks.
Yes, but there are 7
Speaking of
games.
those big games,
because there are
7 of them?
big games.
don't
The
know what
first
does
one
that
is not that big. It's Kentucky at South Carolina. A South Carolina team that Lenore Sellers, their quarterback, he's been banged up. They've lost a couple in a row. Do they get right here at home against the Wildcats, or can Kentucky pull off an upset?
No, I don't think Kentucky's very good this year.
not.
It's funny that I was watching a podcast and they said, "What's the best job in the country?" He said, "Kentucky." He said, "You get paid SEC money and they expect 7 wins a year."
True.
And that's it.
It's like Iowa. It's the SEC version of Iowa.
You're making SEC money and only have to go to the Birmingham Bowl, and they're happy. So, but Kentucky's just not that great this year. And South Carolina, they kind of bounced back last week, so maybe they're going in the right direction this week.
We will see. Obviously, it'll be interesting because South Carolina, they play Alabama. They don't think they play Auburn, though, this year.
Don't.
So they have a chance with Alabama. You know how Alabama is whenever they have to go on the road because it's at South Carolina.
That'll be tough.
So we'll see how that shakes out. A very interesting game. Notre Dame, ranked 22nd in the country, 4.5-point favorites on the road at an Arkansas team that should be undefeated, but 2 fumbles in the last 2 games cost them in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, they lost to Ole Miss and Memphis back-to-back games in brutal fashion where they're winning. All they had to do was just not fumble, and they win the Memphis game and drop a game to Memphis. And now Notre Dame, in a very odd matchup, comes to town.
But Notre Dame this year, they've lost 2 games at Miami, then at home at Texas A&M. Those are 2 good teams. So last week we expected them to bounce back against Purdue, and they won 56-30. The pass defense for Notre Dame has been atrocious. And Arkansas's got a really good passing game. So is this a matchup issue, do you think? Who wins?
Arkansas should be, they really should be 3-0. There's no excuse. Could have beat Ole Miss on the road.
Should have.
So, this could be deceptive here. That's why that line is so low.
Right,
but I am taking Notre Dame.
Okay, I'm picking Arkansas. I think this is a good matchup for the Razorbacks, and I don't think highly of Notre Dame this year.
This isn't the same.
It's not the Notre Dame of last year that went to the national championship game. And as I mentioned, the Notre Dame pass defense has looked hapless this season. And Arkansas, when they've got the ball in the air, they're doing fine. It's when they try to run that it gets to be a problem.
Probably.
So I think it's a really good matchup for Arkansas. So I'm going with the Hogs.
That's a good matchup.
It is a good matchup.
Good luck to them.
Another interesting matchup, a ranked team going to a tough environment. Number 15, Tennessee, on the road into the land of cowbells at Mississippi State. Tennessee, a 7.5-point favorite. Is there a chance, Mississippi State, they're undefeated. They've already beaten one top 15 team in Arizona State. Could they make it number 2?
Boy, that would be tough. I would say probably not, but I never thought they'd beat Arizona State.
That's true.
And it was funny. Did you see the preparation Arizona State made for that game? They had like 5 people ringing bells. And
Are you kidding?
It was maybe 6.
That is underestimating an SEC.
Then they go there and it was deafening. When the game was on the line, it was absolutely, and I don't like going there.
I've been there
twice,
once.
And I don't. Well, Alabama probably drilled them.
We did. It was 49-9. So by the third quarter, there were only maybe 5 people with cowbells in the whole stadium.
I was lucky enough to go to an Auburn game like that, and I don't think I would ever go back because I would hate to hear that if they're winning.
Oof.
But good. I hope they do beat Tennessee, but I doubt it. I'm going Tennessee on that one.
I went back and forth on this because Tennessee, I don't think they're that good either. I think there are a lot of teams ranked highly in college football that by the end of the season, people are going to be like, why did we think they were going to be so good? Notre Dame's one of them. I think Tennessee's one of them. Clemson is absolutely one of them. But Mississippi State, I have not seen enough this season for me to trust them. So I'm picking Tennessee, but I think it'll be a very close game.
Yeah. Mississippi State, we never thought they'd be undefeated.
No. And they probably should be ranked, considering they have a really good win against Arizona State. They've looked good in all their other games. But we'll see. If they win this one, they will definitely be ranked and pretty highly. A very good game, LSU at Ole Miss. LSU ranked 4th. Ole Miss, even though ranked 13, 2-point favorite. Do you think the Rebels can get some revenge for last season's overtime loss, or does LSU keep rolling?
I really thought early in the year LSU was the team to beat. Now they haven't looked as good. And Ole Miss, should have lost to Arkansas. So I really don't know what to think here.
These are 2 kind of overrated teams.
Yeah,
maybe?
I think so. I thought LSU was better than this, but I am sticking with LSU. I'm thinking they put it back together in an environment like this.
We're disagreeing.
You're picking Ole Miss.
I'm picking Ole Miss. It's a home game. It was always said Lane Kiffin can't win the big games. Well, he beat Georgia last year at home.
Right.
Similar situation. At home, the 2:30 game on ABC. I think it's a rinse and repeat. I don't think LSU's that good. Ole Miss, we don't know who's going to be their quarterback. Is it Austin
true.
Simmons? Is it the backup Chambliss? So LSU doesn't know who to prepare for, and that's going to be a benefit for Ole Miss. And, Lane Kiffin, he'll be able to work it to where both guys are playing if Simmons is available. Of course, he's been injured. Mm-hmm. But I think it's a bad situation for LSU. So I'm going with Ole Miss pretty big.
Wow. So, we're completely opposite on that one.
Another game we might disagree on. Number 6, Oregon, going to number 2, Penn State. We're stepping out of the SEC for a moment. The Nittany Lions, a 3.5-point favorite, a night game in Happy Valley.
I'm going Oregon. Right off the bat, I'm saying.
Really?
I just don't. I mean, what's Penn State done?
Well, James Franklin, he's been the head coach for nearly 10 years now at Penn State. The playoff win against Boise State, who is ranked 9th, was his first career win over a top 10 team.
Wow, incredible. I mean, yes, they have everybody back. They should be good, but I just like Oregon in this spot. Even on the road, traveling across the country.
Yeah, I understand.
And Penn State's a slight favorite,
They
right?
are. They are 3.5.
Yeah. Are we disagreeing on this one?
We are. Even though Penn State Penn State, they have not had any success against good teams. I think this is their year to finally break through because it's going to come eventually, right? James Franklin, as good of the teams that he's had and as good of a coach as he is, I mean, he had success at Vanderbilt.
This is it.
Back at old Vanderbilt when they were never good. So I think this is the season for Penn State to finally get some impressive wins. I'm going with the Nittany Lions. A whiteout at night at home. Tough environment for Oregon to try to play in.
Tough loss at home.
It would be, yes. That would be a tough loss. Now we're going to go with our in-state teams. Auburn at Texas A&M. Texas A&M ranked 9th, 6.5-point favorite. Do you think Auburn has a chance on the road?
Yeah, I mean, if they play like they did, don't get sacked so many times. Cut down the sacks, have impartial refs, and I think they'll be fine. Hopefully they keep it close. I just want them to play well. They played pretty well against Oklahoma, except for all those sacks.
Yes, the sacks were
They reminded me of a honk if you sack Brody back in
Oh,
the day.
no.
This was worse. 10 sacks.
10 sacks.
They actually pulled it back to 9.
Oh,
Yeah, I
it's
know.
disappointing.
Yeah, so take that, Oklahoma. But I don't see – it's probably going to be a lot like last week. Maybe they keep it close. Maybe they take the lead late, but I'm just taking Texas A&M. They're also trying to get revenge. After last
That's
week.
right, because last
overtime,
year,
many overtime games.
4 overtimes. Auburn beat Texas A&M in 4 overtimes last year. Yes, a 2-point conversion that would have sent it into a 5th overtime. A Texas A&M tight end had it in his hands, and he dropped it. So revenge is best served cold. It'll probably be a hot day in A&M, but that doesn't matter. The Aggies, I think, will win this one. Will it be pretty handily? No, probably a touchdown or two. Because I think Auburn, despite the loss, I think they're still a really good team. I think they'll keep it close, but I'm going with the Aggies. This could be Texas A&M's year. They've been pretty good since they've joined the SEC. This could be the years that the Aggies finally win the conference.
That win at Notre Dame was one of the best games of the year so far.
It was a fun matchup. And now, speaking of a fun matchup, last year it was probably the most fun matchup of the year.
Game of the year.
In 2024 when Alabama beat Georgia 41-34 at Bryant-Denny Stadium. Now Georgia gets the Crimson Tide on their home turf, looking for revenge. A Georgia team that has not looked impressive, but they've looked a lot better than Alabama this year. Although Alabama in their last 2 games have been much improved from the season opening loss. So, does Alabama have a chance to go on the road to Athens, a place that the Tide has not lost it since 2003?
Wow.
Does Alabama have a chance to go to Athens and win?
Yeah, they do have a chance. Boy, this is a tough pick. I never pick against Alabama.
No.
I can't remember the last time I did. And it's usually wrong whenever I do.
Whenever you pick against them.
I remember one time they went to Georgia for the blackout game many years ago.
2008.
And I picked Georgia, and they got drilled. And I just remember all those fans just standing there. Now, this isn't the same Alabama team. This is going to be really close. I did pick Georgia. Don't feel good about it.
You don't feel good?
No, they're not that great either. Alabama can beat them. They play well. But Georgia on the road, and it's not the same Alabama, so I'm going Georgia.
Since he has taken over at Alabama, Kalen DeBoer is 2-4 when on the road. 2-5 when not at Bryant-Denny Stadium because there was a neutral site loss to Michigan last year in a bowl. At Bryant-Denny, hasn't lost yet. Really, there have been a couple of close games, but none that you really thought, except for South Carolina last year, that you really thought, oh man, this could get ugly. So I haven't seen anything from Alabama since DeBoer took over that made me think that they can go on the road to a Georgia team that wants revenge because they have beaten Alabama once in my lifetime. It was the national championship game where Alabama – yes, I was there. I've been to 2 times. I've been to an Alabama-Georgia game, and Alabama lost 1. But, 9 of the last 10 for Alabama. It feels like the Crimson Tide are owed some revenge, so I think Georgia is going to win this one pretty big, maybe 35-10, because Ty Simpson, he looked good at home, but on the road with 80,000 fans screaming against him, I don't think he stands a chance. So I'm going with Georgia pretty big.
Well, you say those numbers. Did you say 11 of 13? Georgia, Alabama's beaten Georgia that many times?
No, 9 of 10. 9 of 10.
How good was Saban?
He lost to Georgia twice. His first year in overtime. Back when Alabama went 7-6, he lost to Mark Richt's Georgia team in overtime. And then the national championship game where Alabama had, their top 3 running backs were injured. The entire defensive backfield were injured. The starting wide receiver core was injured. They were due a loss there. But
that's it.
Yeah, Alabama's dominated against Georgia. And I think this is probably the year that Georgia gets the revenge. When Alabama's at home this year, I don't think the Tide will have anything to worry about. On the road, not going to end well. Not going to end well.
Yeah, that's what we've seen so far from DeBoer. You can't argue it. And one of the wins was LSU, so
that
it was a big
there
win
was
on the
road
road.
Trip to LSU that Alabama won last year. It was very impressive. But other than that, the only other road win was at Wisconsin last year.
Oh, wow. I didn't realize that. So, yeah, maybe they'll get some of that LSU vibe.
Maybe, a night game. Maybe it'll rain like it did last year against LSU. We'll see. We'll see what happens, but I don't have a lot of confidence in Alabama. They're ranked 17th, and the question becomes, if they lose this, do they fall out of the rankings for the first time since 2007?
Or do they get Notre Dame treatment 0-2 and still ranked?
The name goes a long way.
Yeah, it does.
It's stuff we have to think about. Uncharted territory for Alabama in the last 2 decades. For them to be in a situation where you're going into a game thinking, all right, this is going to get ugly. So we'll see.
Yeah, hopefully we're wrong. But we both you got to mark this down. We both picked against Alabama
for the first time ever.
Yes, because I don't pick against them.
I don't either.
Now I've got to realize this is a different Alabama team, though.
Yes, I've realized that. Watching this team for the last 2 years, I have realized that in no uncertain terms.
You have seen that up close and personal.
Yes.
Absolutely. All right, so that wraps up our show, I believe.
Yes. No more games, just 7.
Else on there? Okay. Yeah, so that wraps up our show. We want to thank Bevill State again for sponsoring. Want to thank Jake for producing. He's back this week.
That's right. Last week we had a guest producer.
Yes, we did. Ed Howell was our guest producer last week. Thanks to Ed for doing that. But yeah, now the show looks like it's supposed to again.
Right, and it's good and long, lots of tangents.
Yes, yeah. Well, we brought back tangents a little bit longer than last week. But yeah, thanks again to Bevill State. And if you like what you see, like and subscribe. That always helps us out. We'll see you next week.